It's time to talk football, and we have to start with the home front. It's all about the Under-17 Women's World Cup taking place in India, where Nigeria's own Flamingos, that's the Under-17 women's team, had their first match yesterday, and it wasn't a pleasant outcome over the course of 90 minutes. They lost to their German counterparts by 2-1, took an early lead courtesy of Usani's free kick before conceding 2 second-half goals to lose the match, which was their opener. Well, right now I'm being joined by Ojo Kayode, a sports analyst, who is here with me to discuss this and more. Ojo, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Samson, it's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon, viewers.
Thank you very much. The match yesterday, what did you make of it?
Well, it's very good performance from the Flamingos, to be frank. To a large extent, they were able to curtail the Germans, the European champion, who they are, throughout the first half of the match. And if not for a little bit of sloppiness from the defense, a little bit of mistakes from individual errors and all of that, which I believe it can be corrected towards the next match. It's not a bad match at all, because at the point they took the pressure to the German, and most of the time when the German bring in the pressure, they soak the pressure and they were able to control themselves. But a lot of improvement has to be done.
Talking about the match itself, over the last 20 minutes, we saw a bit of fatigue setting. I don't know if it was about the equalizer demoralizing the ladies, but towards the last 18-20 minutes of that match, there was a bit of fatigue. You could see that the pace wasn't there again for the players. Is this a cause of worry for Coach Olowo Bankole going into the next match, or you think it was just a one-off?
It's not a one-off. This kind of a thing has always been happening to the Nigerian football team, especially the under-17, under-21 age grade teams. So the moment they are a goal, maybe they are leading, just like what happened, and immediately at the point they are just a goal down again, 2-1, just like that time that they scored, and then they will just it will look like as if they've already given up, and the tiredness will not begin to show. The psychological effect of it will not begin to show on them. So these are a lot of things that they need to work on, no matter what the time is. As much as the match still has more than 5 minutes, more than 10 minutes, you can still pull it out to these people, and you still have a chance to actually turn the game around.
Okay, I'm talking about the Under-17 World Cup. Not the very best for African representatives. You had Morocco losing to Brazil by a lone goal. It could have been more. The Moroccan goalkeeper was also solid in goal. So 2 African representatives starting on the disappointing note. Remember, Tanzania are also participating, at this tournament. So let's hope that they at least get the first points for African teams on board. But talking about Nigeria, the Flamingos, the next match will be against New Zealand, and that's on the 14th of October, which is Friday. Yes, it's Friday, and that match will be by 4:30 p.m. So quickly, on the back of what we saw yesterday night, going into the next match, what are the areas you think Coach Bankole needs to work on so that they put up not just a better performance, but also have a better result?
Very, very, very well. Obviously, from everyone that watched the match, you will see all those loopholes that they need to work on. Number one, the defense has to be composed. At the point when there's an attacking threat, they have to be composed enough to be able to clear out any ball, take it out of the danger zones. You can see from the first goal that the German scored. It was as a result of sloppiness from one of the defenders that gave it out to a German attacker, who eventually fed in the lady that scored the goal. So they need to be composed at the back, very important. And then at the front, they need to play together for them to be able to create chances for themselves. They don't sit back. Too much of respect for their opponent will make them to sit back and to be able to feel as if they are not able to meet up with them. So playing against New Zealand, I believe, because the New Zealand team will be angry, will be hungry to get a win, knowing that they lost even their own first match to Chile. So the Nigerian Flamingos need to put themselves together, make some correction at the back, work on the forward, and then I'm sure of victory for them for the second match. Yes.
Okay, let's wish the Flamingos the very best. Talking about the Under-17 Women's World Cup, you had the host nation India taking on the United States. That's a match I'm sure the Indians won't want to remember in a hurry. Within 65 minutes, the United States were 8 goals up, and luckily or thankfully, they were able to restrict it to just 8 goals as it were. But it is what it is. The very best of women's football at the under-17 level is ongoing in India, and sure, you do well to support African teams, especially Nigerian teams, the Nigerian ladies rather, as it were. Well, it's time to turn our attention now to European football, and it's all about the UEFA Champions League. Remember, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, it's all about European football at this time. Let's start from the action we had at the San Siro. Chelsea Football Club against AC Milan. AC Milan at home, and Chelsea doing the double over them. 2-0 that ended. Fikayo Tomori getting a red card. But for all of the brilliance or the good work Chelsea did on the night, that was overshadowed by the injury to James Reece, who has been probably their best player this season. What do you make of Chelsea's performance before we get to James Reece's injury, rather?
Fantastic performance. While I was coming for the show, I was just wondering how the Chelsea team, the Chelsea defense were able to just put the AC Milan attackers at bay in the both legs. So you can see they did tremendously. You have to give kudos to Graham Potter for whatever he has done to those defense, for them to have been able to come together and play and to be solid against that Milan team. So, but when you look at that match, the red card to Fikayo Tomori actually has an effect on the match, because that was what actually gave the Chelsea team the opportunity for them to have that penalty that was scored by Jorginho. So without that red card, I think things would have been different entirely with the match.
Those who I don't think anyone has issues with the red penalty. It was definitely deserving.
Yes.
But those who question the red card, if truly it should have been, what's your opinion? Should there have been a red card?
Of course, it's a clear-cut chance which makes a
goal-scoring chance.
Yes, a goal-scoring chance that the last man that is closer to him for the AC Milan defense is Fikayo Tomori.
But was Tomori the last defender?
He was the last defender, as at the time when Mount was through on goal with the goalkeeper. So he was the last defender. And any infringement that will cause any inability for Mount to be able to shoot at goal,
expulsion,
is a red card offense.
Okay, but so now James Reece's injury, as I said, it overshadows Chelsea's win. More importantly, it piles pressure on Gareth Southgate, because the World Cup is 5 weeks away, and I don't want to be in Southgate's position at this time. 3 of his 4 options in terms of the right back are injured. You have Alexander Trent-Arnold, who pulled up injured over the weekend. You have Kyle Walker as well, injured. Now, is arguably his best right back, Reece James, injured. He's left with just Kieran Trippier of Newcastle United. It's not looking good at all.
I don't know what miracle they have to perform to all their right backs. Of course, these are fantastic right backs,
good, yes,
who are presently on form in their respective club sides. Now, it's just left with Kieran Trippier. I don't know what's going to do. Maybe he's going to do substitute. If these guys are not fit enough for the World Cup, then that means you have to look at the likes of Joe Gomez, who has not been doing so much in Liverpool.
And has even been playing as a centre-back in Liverpool.
But I know he can, Jurgen Klopp usually swap him to the right back to play. He can also look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I don't know how possible that one will be. And then they begin to think about outside of the box.
If you're a coach, will you go for Bissaka?
I'm just giving them an option,
Okay.
But you'd have think, obviously, Kieran Trippier will be the number one if all of these players are out injured. He will be the number one that will be starting for them.
Team, yes, okay. Let's see how that pans out. Well, still talking about the UEFA Champions League action we saw last night. You had Juventus away in Israel taking on Maccabi Haifa, and that was a match that no Juve fan would want to see anytime soon. 2-0 it ended with Maccabi Haifa getting a famous win, their first win at home since 2002, 20 years. And for Juventus, what exactly is happening this season? There were concerns about the team's injuries, but Allegri himself hasn't covered himself in glory in terms of selection, tactical changes, and what have you. But for all of these, you had Juventus owner Agnelli saying yesterday after the match that Allegri is still their coach and he has the full support of the board. Do you think that's the right decision, or there should be a change? Because in the Italian Serie A, there are 3 points from 9 games, 3 wins rather from 9 games.
Of course, all of this director, for football club owners, they will still be giving you the assurance that everything is going to be fine. Every is our coach. Of course, it's their coach.
And something else is happening behind the
scenes. By their contract they have, is still their current coach. And so whatever that is going to change is going to be determined at the boardroom, which Allegri will not be aware of. Even the press will not be aware of until they let the cat out of the bag. So, but I can tell you it's a disappointing season for Juventus so far, especially when you look at the Champions League group that they find themselves in.
Exactly.
And they are still struggling to climb the ladder in the table, and they are unable to defeat Benfica. They struggle to beat Maccabi Haifa.
Exactly.
It has a lot of things to do with whatever that is happening with their coaching team and whatever that is happening within the dressing room that needs to be urgently corrected, so that these old ladies, they will be able to write a good story at the end of the season.
Quick one: should Allegri go or stay? What's your verdict if you were the one calling the shots?
Of course, there is a fantastic coach that is on ground, that is in the house now, resting. That's Thomas Tuchel, who every other football club would be willing to actually go for. So if you are looking in that direction, of course you want to bring in fresh air to this team, so that the performance of last season, which is very disappointing, and then they start with this season in a disappointing manner, then things has to be done. Except the board will have to inject some confidence in the team beyond what Allegri can do.
Okay, I'm still talking about that particular group itself. You also had PSG in action against Benfica at the Parc des Princes, and that ended 1-1. 2 penalties. You had João Mario scoring for Benfica, and it was Kylian Mbappe netting PSG's penalty. Both sides inseparable, also maintaining their unbeaten run. 8 points from 4 games. It's safe to say both sides will qualify, because Benfica's next match is against Juventus in Portugal. I do not see Juventus winning, and a draw is enough to seal the points through. While PSG will take on Maccabi Haifa. What do you make of the performance yesterday, and do you think these two teams are worthy winners or qualifiers from that group?
It's a fantastic performance from Benfica and PSG up to that level, where they had to meet in the both legs.
Exactly.
The last week and that one of yesterday. And they played and they gave us an entertaining football, where it both ended 1-1, the first and the second leg. And so when you look at those performances of these two teams, and you now look at what Juventus is going through presently in their form, you will see that it looks impossible for them to actually qualify from that group. Because they need to beat they need to win their next two matches
against Benfica and PSG,
and hoping that results will go their way. And that means Benfica has to lose to Maccabi Haifa in their last match of the group stages. So it's so impossible. To me, it's impossible. PSG, of course, we play against Maccabi Haifa at home in Paris. So you don't expect anything less than 3 points from the Parisians.
Messi will probably be back.
Of course. So I think it's the end of the road for Juventus for the Champions League.
League. Okay.